Hello, welcome. I know I'm a bit late today, about 30 minutes late. I'm not feeling great, not feeling 100%, but everything will be fine. I feel a little nauseous. I don't think it's the virus, but I do feel slightly nauseous. I woke up really early this morning, oddly, and I just haven't found my gear. But don't worry, gonna be a good show today. Maybe a little shorter than usual just because of how I'm feeling, but I'm going to, of course, get to all your questions, all your super chats, all that stuff. So before I get started here, rationalnational.com/join. That's the Patreon page. Help the show, help support the show. YouTube algorithm is what it is. They prop up the MSNBCs, the CNNs, the New York Times, the Fox Newses, and then independent media gets pushed aside. So that's what happens. But every little bit helps, and also share videos, not just this one, but in general. If you watch videos and you like it, share it around. That also helps as well. All right, let me start with something that is a video. I like to start with videos. I like to start with clips. I guess I can give you a preview of today, maybe. So Trump, hits a new low. You'll see what that's about. Biden's gross moment. You'll see what that's about. I don't want to give too much away here. Canadian story coming up as well, as NDP leader Jagmeet Singh talks about how we should deal with the deficit. And Joe Kennedy hires a cop to advise his campaign. And it's not just any cop. It's a bad cop. So that story as well. And I'll get to, of course, chats throughout the stream. All right. Let me start here. So I came across this video online, and it is a lady freaking out in a dental office because she was asked to take her temperature. So this goes along with the people that are freaking out about wearing masks. This lady's also, of course, one of those people. But check out this video. It's these people are the worst. And I'm really not sure how they don't get how horrible they are. But watch this.
You're going to work on my teeth, not my nose. I don't wear a mask getting my teeth cleaned.
But it's about the safety of all of our...
Fine, I'll cover my mouth. Can I go be seated now?
No, because you're not filling out the forms or letting us take your temperature. It's about protecting our...
You can't take my temperature. That's against the law.
All right, well, I can't...
You're not an MD.
We're not
okay?
allowed to... We can't see you.
I have a right to sue you for harassing me, the manager, and this entire company, Smile, whatever you call it, dental. I do have that right, and I talked to my attorney before I came here, too. Okay. So does he want that to happen? I've waited long enough for my teeth to be cleaned, okay? Let's get this done, okay?
I can't. They're telling me I can't see you.
Who's there?
The owner of the practice.
I want to hear him. Get him on the phone. He has to send me in written writing, so I want to see your policy.
You shouldn't be in the building without a mask either.
I can do what I want.
No,
I'm
you
free.
can't.
It's not a law.
Medical office.
It's not a law.
This is a medical office.
No, it's a dental office.
I'm going to keep it PG. Because if I didn't, I would freak the hell out on this lady. How selfish is this? And really, she talked to her attorney before going to the dental office. We're supposed to believe that. She talked to her attorney. What's her attorney going to do? My clients did not want her temperature taken. I mean, I know you're worried about the coronavirus. I know, you got to look at this woman's open mouth for 30 minutes. But if you got to die to serve her, that's how it's got to be. So you're sued. Like, what is the argument here? People like this are freaks. These people are freaks. There is something wrong with their head. And this is one of those things where, sometimes there are other ways to, or other things to look at. And you can say, oh, this person is this way because, maybe the situation they're in, maybe they're in terms of, they lost their job because of the economy, society, whatever. There's no one else to blame here. This is just these individuals being morons. That's what this is. So on top of that, not wearing a mask, like you are going to a dental office. These people have to serve you. They want to ensure that you are not going to get other people sick. This is not hard. Wear a mask when you get in. Let them take your temperature so they ensure you're actually not sick. And then you can go, like, what's the big deal here? Now, I saw this response on Twitter, and I think it's fairly accurate. So, says here, I'm not sure, I don't think this was at the dental office, but this is, the kind of sign that in general, people have to put up now. These companies have to put up because of these morons. As an American, you have a right not to wear a mask. But just like you, businesses have a right to not let you in, not serve you. You can't have it both ways. You are free to make a choice, but that means accepting the consequences of your actions. Screaming at employees and businesses for protecting their workers and customers does not make you a patriot. It makes you an asshole. Don't mistake inconvenience for oppression. I really couldn't put it any better. Now, let me, I gotta play this as well. So, Bill Nye put this video out on TikTok, and he is just showing the importance of wearing a mask, and I think he makes a great point here.
Here's an N95. These are made to block particles in the medical environment and when you're out mowing the lawn. This one's not sterilized, but it's pretty effective. So the reason we want you to wear a mask is to protect you, sure. But the main reason we want you to wear a mask is to protect me from you and the particles from your respiratory system from getting into my respiratory system. Everybody, this is a matter literally of life and death. And when I use the word literally, I mean literally a matter of life and death. So when you're out in public, please wear a mask. Thank you for joining me on Consider the Following. Here's an N95.
So this is not hard. I really don't know how this even became a debate. You got to wear clothes. Why aren't you arguing about that? Oh, my freedom. Make me wear clothes to go out and go to a restaurant. How dare you? Like, where does it end? Just wear a friggin' mask. It's a pandemic. You spread germs around. We've known about this. You've known about this your entire life. You spread germs around. If you cough, that puts germs out in the air. Well, guess what? Those germs, if you have coronavirus, are incredibly contagious and can kill people. It's that simple. Put a mask on. Keep people safe. Don't be an asshole. I feel like those videos like that lady, they come out there's a new one every other day, or not even every other hour. It's amazing. I really don't get it. It must be, I was going to say uniquely American, but actually it's not. We have those assholes in Canada as well. But Jesus, it's definitely widespread in the U.S. All right. I see some questions here. Actually, let me open up my other tab, as I have to do. Also, as a reminder, in case you're new to the stream, I am the only person here. So there's going to be, the occasional pause with me not doing anything as I prep stories and do what I got to do, just so you know. Okay, questions here. Miranda Juvan says, "Hi, David, hoping you will ask everyone in the chat to ignore all the trolls already here. They are only here to get us to bite. Like all bullies, they will go away if no one pays attention to them." So there you go. If you see trolls in the chat, just ignore the trolls. I do have 2 mods. They're not always here. So I'm not sure if they're here or not. But I may need to get more mods to keep it. So, to ensure there's more moderation happening. But whatever. Ignore the people in the chat. It's fine. It gets busy in there. So at times it can get kind of crazy with the amount of people typing. But, don't worry about it. Ignore the dipshits. That's what I say. Another question. Junie McGrath says, "Hey DD, what's the best COVID-19 strategy? Have the economy running but mandate masks, Japan, or do a lockdown but subsidize wages, Germany?" So it depends on the culture of that society. In Japan, clearly it's a lot easier to get people to wear a mask. You're not going to, that's not going to happen in the US, clearly. So the only way to really address it in American culture would be to, there's a couple of ways, but essentially ensure people have financial stability. So whether that's putting a moratorium on, on rent, on mortgage payments, and ensuring people have a UBI, universal basic income, monthly money coming in, or protect their paychecks, ensure that they can keep getting paid, stay with the job they already have, and that their paychecks keep coming in. So that's a way to do it. Subsidize wages, and or ensure there's a UBI going on. Because in American culture and many Western cultures, you're just not going to be able to force everyone to wear a mask. In Japan, people comply. I don't know what to say. That can be good and bad depending on the situation. But in this scenario, it's good that everybody listens and understands the need to wear a mask. But that's not going to be able to happen in the U.S. Jen Pepper sends me a little GIF here, a little dinosaur in a chair. Thank you for your donation. Jared Burkhart says, thanks to you and others for providing us with a fair left perspective. To what extent did the Dems participate in voter suppression in Kentucky? Did the Dems? I don't know. I my understanding, it's not. The Democrats aren't in control there. So I don't think they participated in the voter suppression. So if anything, it was just a way to suppress excitement for the election in November by suppressing. I mean, you could say that they had a favorite in the Democratic primary, but I don't know if they really cared or if they even thought that Booker had a chance. It's more about just causing mayhem and in hopes of potentially suppressing excitement for the election in November. But no, Republicans are the ones that suppress the vote by and large. As they know, when turnout is low, they win. When turnout's high, Democrats win. Ravi Parimi says, hope you feel better, brother. Thank you. I hope I do as well. Tyler Cuss says, ever been across the lake in Rochester or Buffalo? Of course. Yes, I've been to Buffalo. Shelby Hall says, Phoenix mayor seeking refrigerated trucks due to the Maricopa County morgue exceeding capacity. Major hospitals are at capacity for holding the dead. We are screwed. I can't even imagine. It is really bad right now in Arizona, in Florida. Some other states are getting bad as well. I think South Carolina is getting pretty bad. So, yeah. And I think I covered this on Twitch this week. Maybe it was last week. But a couple of idiots, to put it kindly, had a comedy show in Houston a couple of weeks ago, or I think it was last week. And guess what? They got coronavirus. Likely somebody there had the virus, spread it to them, likely spread it to other people that were at that event. And these were a couple of dingbats that were talking about, or that were suppressing fears around the virus. And, we're not going to get it. It's fine. The sun kills the virus. I'm not going to name their names. I talked about it on Twitch, but a couple of morons. I mean, you don't take it seriously, you get bit. And unfortunately, people that are taking it seriously also are getting bit and getting the virus. I don't mean bit literally, but in terms of thinking that they're going to be fine, and they get it. Like, think about it. Think about it. You care enough about other people to wear a mask yourself and ensure that in case you have the virus and are not showing symptoms, that you're not spreading it around. And what if in that process you're, say, in an elevator? Say you live in an apartment like I do, and you take the elevator with someone who doesn't have a mask on, like I have, and I'm wearing a mask, they're not. They give me the virus because they aren't protected, and I can still get the virus even with the mask on. It doesn't protect you 100%. I get the virus because of that asshole, that selfish person who didn't get the mask. Meanwhile, I'm here trying to protect other people, and I never had it, but now I do. It's just, people in society are incredibly selfish. I'm not really sure how else to put it. It's amazing. It has shown me, though, that the people, you see people like that around, if those people drive, guarantee you they're shitty drivers. They're the kind of people that are selfish on the road, don't care about what's going on around them. Will drive slow in the fast lane, drive fast in the slow lane. Like, those are the exact same assholes. All right. I'm going to stop there, put a pause to get to the next story. I will try to liven it up, as I know I'm feel like I'm giving off a very sad and depressed message or feeling out there, but it's just because I don't feel 100% right now. It could be food. I feel like maybe I'm not eating properly. I don't know. I hope it's nothing bad. All right. Okay. So President Donald Trump's approval rating keeps dropping. And I'm not just talking about overall approval, but also his response to the coronavirus and race relations, what people think about that, and that approval rating as well. So first, let me actually show you that. This is a ABC News Ipsos poll recently conducted. Do you approve or disapprove of the way Donald Trump is handling race relations? 32% approve, 67% disapprove. So obviously, I mean, every single speech, almost every tweet, he's race baiting. Whether it's Chinese virus or retweeting white nationalists, people, you saw that one thing he retweeted with the guy on the golf cart yelling white power, white power. Like this is what this I imagine is referencing. People see what Trump is doing, and by and large, people are not in support of it. Even voters that would generally consider themselves to be more conservative are not in support of what Trump is doing and see the damage that it is causing. I mean, and that's even in addition to his lack of response to needing to do something substantial with police reform, at the very least. Now, let me also show you the response in terms of coronavirus. So do you approve or disapprove of the way Donald Trump is handling the response to the coronavirus, COVID-19? So you see here since March, and recently, July 8th to 9th, 67% of people disapprove of the way Trump is handling the coronavirus. And it's gone up considerably in recent weeks. So this is, I mean, there's 1,000 things really to reference here. First of all, there's no real financial help for people, which is why you're seeing this push and this anger of people wanting to go out there and get back to work and not wear masks and everything. If people actually had some real financial help, stability in terms of putting a moratorium on rent, on mortgage payments, giving people a universal basic income, or guaranteeing their paychecks, something to help people, free healthcare as well, something to help people sustain during this time, you would not see the freak out be as big as it is right now. But of course, none of that was offered. Instead, this is what you got. Lobbyists who work for Trump's campaigns, committees, and administration are feasting on the public health emergency. In fact, if we get to some of the details here, let me just read this one major point. 27 clients of Trump-connected lobbyists have received federal COVID aid, totaling more than $10.5 billion. How much help have you received from Trump? Now compare that to what Trump-connected lobbyists are getting. And this is even before the PPP loans. This is not included. This is separate. I'll get to that as well. But $10.5 billion. So this consists of $6.3 billion in grants, $4.2 billion in loans, and $67 million worth of support in the form of corporate bond purchases by the Federal Reserve. These numbers are likely a gross undercount due to lagging disclosure by the Trump administration. So this is just based on the information that is available, not even the stuff they're hiding. So this is who Trump is working for. Drain the swamp? The swamp is feasting on coronavirus aid. Meanwhile, people going broke, can't pay their rent, don't have any income, That's what Trump is doing. More here. So when it comes to the PPP loans, a lot came out here in terms of who got a lot of this money. But here from Forbes, I believe Forbes journalist, Andrew Sullender, Grover Norquist's organization in the Ayn Rand Institute, two of America's most vocal opponents of government spending, took PPP loans. So Ayn Rand Institute received a PPP loan of between $350K and $1 million. And Norquist, who's always been a fighter against, taxation and government spending and any kind of government aid, here he was back in, what does it say? So I believe this is recently, but he says, today, 63% of Americans can receive more on unemployment, including the CARES Act. So this is about the CARES Act, so it's recent, this tweet. $600 a week increase added to normal state unemployment, then by returning to work. Democrats insisted on the $600 plus up. It lasts until August 1st. So here he is complaining about money that people are receiving on unemployment. Meanwhile, his frickin' company receiving money from PPP. Just the most disgusting people in the world. These are the conservatives. These are the Republicans behind the scenes pushing the Trump agenda. Complaining about the average person getting money, getting aid, getting some help during this virus. Meanwhile, they're getting the big bucks. Now, let's also go to Trump's overall approval rating, which also is not good. So you see here, it has dropped considerably since April. So as people are beginning to wake the hell up to what Trump is or isn't doing, it is now down to 38% as of June, or this, it may actually be July. So his approval rating is now 38%, dropping as people are seeing that they're not getting any help, that Trump is not fighting for them, that finally they are waking up to the reality that they're seeing their friends and family die around them or get the virus, seeing increases now in the virus and outbreaks in places like Arizona, Florida, in more red states where initially the virus had not yet had a serious impact, or at least not as serious as it does now. So now that a lot of Trump's supporters, former supporters, are feeling that, they're done with him. They're seeing him for the fraud that he's always been. Now, let me also take a look at recent polling here. So this is the Real Clear Politics polling average. This is national. Now, of course, national isn't everything, as state by state to win the Electoral College. That's what actually matters. But nationally, Biden is up by 8.8 on average. And if we actually go, let's go to some of the states here. So check out Wisconsin. Biden's up by 6.5. This is a state where Trump had a hold on for quite a while until this virus really hit. Biden now has led there steadily since Trump's complete collapse. Florida, also a deep red state right now. Biden up by 5 on average. Michigan, another big swing state. Biden up by 7.5. And look, understand, Biden isn't even really doing anything. I mean, if you know my work, know what I cover, I don't defend Joe Biden. Joe Biden does not have a platform that meets the moment at all. But this is simply a response to Donald Trump's failure. At this point, for many people, it's just anybody but Trump. And that's why you're seeing numbers like this. Pennsylvania, another big swing state, 6.5 plus for Joe Biden. Let's check out North Carolina. Biden, even up in North Carolina, 3.3. Let's check Arizona. Biden up in Arizona on average, 3.5. State being hit really hard right now. So this is the state of the Trump administration and of the Trump campaign. People are waking up. It took some time. It took, a father or a brother to die for many people to realize what's going on, but it's happening. They're waking up. They're realizing that in this moment in time, during a pandemic like this, during a major crisis like this, that they cannot rely on a man who just race baits, who scapegoats, who doesn't actually have any real solutions for anyone. Let me get us some chats. Okay. Skank Hunt 42 says, I work in a lab that produces the test and get tested weekly. We are still required to wear masks at work and while out and while out and about. Everyone should. Yeah. I am in complete agreement. It's not that hard to put a mask on. In fact, where's mine here? Here's mine right here. Got a mask right here. It's not, look. Oh, it's so hard. This is really tough, guys. I can't believe I'm wearing a mask. I'm wearing it like Joe Biden, but you know. So tough to put a mask on. It's a lot. I have another one. Look, I got mask galore here. Do what I can. I do what I can to not get the virus. But it's mostly to protect other people. Understand. Though I guess we should lie and say, for many of these greedy Americans and greedy Canadians, greedy Europeans, though I don't know how many Europeans are really that pissed off about a mask. But for those greedy people out there, yeah, actually the mask is to protect yourself because you're so fucking selfish. The mask is only to protect yourself. Don't worry. That's what it's for. So put it on because clearly you don't give a shit about anybody else in the world. So I'm in a good mood today. All right. Rolf Ganger says, can we really expect establishment Dems to seriously fight Republican voter suppression when it is helping them in their own primaries? But a primary is a primary. Primary ain't the real deal. Primary ain't showtime. Yes, we see in terms of what Democrats, we could just look at the Democratic states that don't have the voter suppression that places like Kentucky or Georgia have. So that's your proof right there. The current state of society, of the electoral map or system in various states. You can just compare them. So I don't take my word for it. Just look at reality. Solar Flare says Ryan Trundle is running in Louisiana's 4th congressional district as a progressive Democrat. He's running against incumbent Republican Mike Johnson and is his second time running. Excuse me. You put your number in here? All right. Text us at 318-294-9519. All right. So I assume they will send you info on the campaign. So if you're in Louisiana, especially the 4th district, then check out Ryan Trundle. Though I know nothing about him, so I'm not advocating. I have no idea who this guy is. Maybe he's horrible. But look up Ryan Trundle. If you're in the chat, you can copy and paste his name. Look him up. Check him out. All right. Miranda Juvan says, no mask, no brain, no service. Yes. Yes, that is a great line. No mask, no brain, no service. Okay. I will pause there. Let me get prepping the next story. Do you hear the cops in the background? Or the ambulance? I do. This next video, if you're like me, will piss you off. So it's a good day today. a lot of content to piss off the masses. All right. Okay. Adi Barkan is a Medicare for All advocate and suffers from ALS. And he recently had this exchange with Joe Biden that, if you're like me, it's going to piss you off. Watch this.
It's no secret that I support Medicare for all,
I don't.
and that I endorsed Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders in the primary.
Both good people.
But you won the nomination, and I respect that, and I am fully committed to beating Donald Trump.
I know that.
Throughout the Democratic primary, you made clear your opposition to single-payer, Medicare for all, and you have won the nomination. But in recent months, 20 million Americans have lost their jobs and many have lost their health insurance with it. Democrats overwhelmingly support Medicare for all. And it's especially popular among young people. And even your friend, Barack Obama, said recently that it is a good idea.
Democrats aren't just running on good old ideas, they're running on good new ideas, like Medicare for all.
So my question is, do you see a future where health insurance is no longer tied to employment? Will America ever have a single-payer system where health care is guaranteed as a human right?
Healthcare guaranteed is a human right, but taking away the right to have a private plan if you want a private plan, I disagree with. I disagree with. There's three things that I propose that we can do, and we can do it quickly. I support a public option as well. We can get a public option passed, and we can get it passed quickly, number one. Number two, I propose spending almost $1 trillion to make sure that people can get a gold plan on Obamacare, subsidizing anyone who wants to get in with a gold plan. Number three, providing for the option to have home care paid for and elder care paid for, not as part of Medicare, as just a basic right. It's an absolute basic right. And so I believe we can do all the things you want to do and do them better, more quickly than with Medicare for all. But we have the same goal, because healthcare is a right, not a privilege. It should be a right, not a privilege.
Vice President, I hope you understand this issue is personal for me. This isn't abstract or theoretical. When I say I'm a Medicare for all advocate, I hope you understand it's because I've spent hours on hold with my insurance companies when they won't cover the cost of my care. It's because I've had to sue insurance companies when they tell me I need to pay thousands of dollars out of my own pocket for the cost of full-time care. And I have a great private insurance plan. I understand what you are saying about keeping private plans, but I guess my question is, what does preserving private insurance really do for people?
It depends on the plan. Look, you know what my bills were for my hospitalization? Over $280,000. I get it, man. I'm not new to this. I'm not where you are, but I get it. I fully get it. The cost of my sons were well over $1 million. That's why we have to do the additional things, like making sure that home health care is covered.
All right. Yeah. Joe Biden here is very focused on, we can get it passed quickly. Public option, we can get it passed quickly. Can't pass Medicare for all quickly. That's the real difference here. Get it passed quickly. You can get Medicare for all passed quickly as well. All it takes is the political will. All it takes is you whipping the votes. What the hell's the difference? Republicans are going to fight you just as hard on a public option as they're going to fight you on Medicare for all. There would be no difference at all in their fight against both. You think they're going to think, public option? Okay, I guess we'll go along with you. When have the Republicans ever just gone along with the Democrats on anything? They're going to fight you just as hard regardless of whatever plan you put up, meaning that it actually sides with the conversation sides with what Democrats are willing to fight for. So are you willing to fight for Medicare for all and whip the votes to get it done, or are you not? Biden's argument here is complete BS. When you look at the current system in the U.S., 45,000 people a year die due to a lack of access to health care. Canada, that doesn't exist in our single-payer system. In the American system, 500,000 people a year go bankrupt over medical costs, medical bills. Doesn't exist in Canada. Again, a single payer system. In Canada, if you lose your job, healthcare is still there. The exact same healthcare you had before, the same doctor, everything is still there because your employer and healthcare have nothing to do with one another. The healthcare that you had is always there. Say you don't like your job or you don't like your boss. You can leave that job, go work somewhere else or start a business or go back to school, and you still have that healthcare guaranteed to you. It doesn't change. Everybody pays into the same system. Another benefit of a Medicare for All system is that your Congress people and the wealthiest people in the country would also be on the same healthcare system as you. So how bad is it really going to get if they have to use the exact same healthcare system as you are? It's disgusting that even during a pandemic, with the amount of people that have the virus, the amount of people that are dying now with this virus, that still the Democratic Party, even with all of the facts, all of the data supporting a single-payer Medicare for All system, with the polling supporting a Medicare for All system, a majority of voters, not even just Democrats, a majority of all voters support Medicare for All. And if you poll just Democrats, it's like 85, 90%. But all voters support Medicare for All. They still won't back it. During a pandemic, with all the facts behind it, with people in support of it, they still will not back it. And it's because the Biden campaign has a ton of healthcare industry money backing them. And the Democratic Party in general has that healthcare industry money backing them. That is the only reason they will not support it. That doesn't mean you give up your fight. No, you continue fighting. You continue pushing. And if Biden wins, you push even harder. Because the fight is not over. Just because Bernie isn't the nominee doesn't mean that change isn't possible. If people get loud enough and are not going to take this BS anymore, things will change. It has to change. You have to make the lives of these people miserable. The people in power that are preventing your society from having a single payer system, you have to make their lives miserable. Now, Biden also brought up, oh, I know what it's like. I know what it's like. I have healthcare bills too. He's right in the sense that he also had healthcare bills. And guess what? Obama offered money to help support him. Joe Biden was in a situation, a very privileged situation, by the way, where Joe Biden, at the time of this happening, in the top 2% of society. The top 2% in terms of income. And he still had problems paying his healthcare bills. So how can he not understand and wake up to the reality that most people are not as privileged as he is, or as he was in this situation? Most people don't have the money that he made. Can he understand that what he was in, the debt that he had, is even worse for somebody who's making nowhere near what he makes? Yet still, it's incredible. It really is incredible. The amount of bullshit these people will throw in your face with all the facts, all the data behind a single payer Medicare for All system. They're complete lack of empathy. And then pretending, oh, we can never get it done. They can absolutely get it done. All it takes is the political will to fight for it. I'm pissed off today, apparently. Pissed off at these dipshits. All right, back to some questions. Let's see if I can see if there's some ones that can up my mood here. Can't be angry all stream. Where was I? Here we go. Michael Cuomo says, "Hey David, do you think we would have been in more wars if Bush Sr. got a second term in the '92 election?" What a very specific question. Do I think the U.S. would be in more wars if Bush Sr. got a second term in the '92 election? As somebody who is not a historian, I have no friggin' idea. I'm not even going to wager a guess. I have no idea. Miranda Juvan says, masks are sexy. Yes. Yes, they are. Actually, somebody made a great point. Oh, who was it? I think it was on Twitch. Somebody made a comment saying that the way to sell masks to conservatives, or sell them on wearing a mask, is to say that wear it to protect your face from all the cameras that are watching you. Like, make it conspiratorial. Say, hey, oh, that coronavirus stuff, yeah, total hoax. I don't believe it either. I only wear a mask because there's cameras everywhere, and I don't want the government tracking my every move. There you go. If you have someone in your life who will not wear a mask, try that. Try that on them. See if it works. Because you have to speak their language. If you speak their language, which, you know what, it's not a bad point. Like, it's sure it's kind of conspiratorial, but it's not a bad point. There are cameras everywhere. And if you don't want to be tracked throughout, you know, where you're going, what you're doing, put a mask on. So try that argument. If someone in your life is not going to wear a mask or doesn't wear a mask, try that and see if it works. Should I stop here? I don't know. Let me go to the next story. Yeah. All right. All right. So right now in Canada, there is a freak out about the deficit. Oh, the deficit. Always about the deficit. This is, of course, because of the pandemic response. So we have a CERB, the $2,000 a month, and, you know, wage subsidy, other things that have been implemented during this pandemic to help people has caused this deficit. National Post here, freaking out about it. Canada's fiscal snapshot predicts $343 billion deficit as Liberals offer little intention to curb spending. Oh, got to curb that spending. Can't help people. Got to curb that spending. Jagmeet Singh, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh, had a great response to this. So he was on CBC, and watch what he said.
My concern is that given the fiscal snapshot that we just saw, we're going to start hearing a lot of pressure from the right, from conservatives saying we can't afford to help Canadians. We've already heard some of that coming out from different people who are saying that we've got to stop the CERB or stop helping people. And I just want to point out that that's always the case whenever there's a financial difficulty. It's always social programs that the conservatives want to cut. Liberals also have in the past cut the programs that people need, but instead I'm suggesting that we should ask the wealthiest to pay their fair share, those who have fortunes of over 20 million. What about some of the companies that we know that made massive profits during this pandemic? Amazon, Netflix, who pay effectively no taxes in Canada. What about the offshore tax havens, which is also something like $27 billion of wealth that's hidden purposely from Canada so that it's not contributed back into the economy. These are the things I think we need to address in the difficult times going forward.
I take your point on all of that. But again, when we stack up those ideas against the size of the deficit, and in no way am I saying, get rid of it right now, but you're talking about, let's say, a tax evasion worth $27 billion or $25 billion, I think is what the PBO initially said it was. The money that you would raise through the wealth tax is $5 billion, maybe increasing by 2028 to $10 billion. I mean, that is not substantial enough to get at what will eventually be a huge problem in this country, for example, if interest rates go up. What else would you propose the government do?
Well, what I'm saying is the approach can't be what we've seen in the past, where the choice is just, do we cut the services that people rely on and bring in austerity, or continue to let the wealthiest get away with not paying their fair share? I think that's just the wrong thing to do. And what we have to start with doing is changing that narrative and saying, you know what? The wealthiest should be the ones that contribute more. Those at the very top, the richest Canadians, those who are the 1%, those who have massive wealth, that's where we need to start. And then we need to go to the corporations that are the wealthiest corporations. That's the approach, I think, that makes the most sense. And after a crisis, investing in people is one of the best ways to stimulate the economy. To in any way stop doing that is only going to make the cost of this crisis even worse. And so I'm proposing a different approach. Let's, instead of putting the burden on working people, on families, and those that are struggling, let's ask those at the very, very top to pay their fair share.
So Jagmeet Singh here makes a number of fantastic points. Whenever there is this discussion, this focus on the deficit, gotta do something about that deficit. Can't spend, can't help people. It's always a kind of dog whistle to say, got to cut social programs, got to put in, austerity, privatization. That's what we got to do. You have to actually invest in people. And look, I would love to have a full, more of a conversation here about MMT, because if you actually if you look up Stephanie Kelton and her explanation of MMT, modern monetary theory, the only real limitations is on inflation. So you actually, governments are not run, countries are not run like companies are, like businesses. There's always this idea that, just like a business, you gotta have the money, the tax money to spend on this. That isn't how governments operate. That isn't how fiat currency operates. You can actually invest in people. It's just a matter of, where's your focus? Is your spending, is your help going to corporations, or is your help going to people, the middle class, the poor? So I'm not going to go, more into that here, as I'm not an expert, but you look into Stephanie Kelton and MMT, you'll get a better idea of what I'm talking about. So the entire conversation around deficit spending or the deficit is inherently flawed to begin with. So we need to have, a real education in terms of the media doing their job and actually better communicating the reality around spending. But also, in terms of what Jagmeet said about the wealth tax, it has massive support in Canada. So this is a recent poll from Abacus Data, a wealth tax to pay for the recovery. Total support, 75%. 75% of Canadians, which includes, by the way, conservatives. Conservatives back, I know it's somewhere here. Conservatives also back a wealth tax. Because, look, most people that are conservative, that view themselves as conservative, that vote conservative, are more just culturally conservative, not economically conservative. So when it comes to a wealth tax, most conservatives do not have over $20 million. Most conservatives are perfectly fine with raising taxes on Canadians that have over $20 million. So this is an incredibly popular policy. And it's the kind of thing that even the liberals, I say even as there's this idea that they're left when they're not, but even the liberals, if you think they're left, they do not support. Because the liberals, much like the conservatives, represent the interests of the wealthy, represent the interests of corporations. They are neoliberal parties. So they have a completely different view when it comes to the deficit, when it comes to priorities, when it comes to spending, than, say, the NDP and the Greens do. So there has to be a real, if we're going to talk about the deficit, which I really don't care to, but if we are going to, the focus has to be on a wealth tax, on massive corporations as well, and ensuring that they are paying their fair share. And the tax havens, the offshore tax havens, billions and billions of dollars in offshore tax havens, the tax that is not being, or money that is not being taxed, that is from the wealthy, the wealthiest in Canada, their money being protected. There has to be something seriously done about that. Not just around the edges, not just rhetorically, something actually done about getting tax money from those dollars. So there has to be the focus when it comes to deficit always has to be on who has the money, who is benefiting right now in society, and go after them. The idea that this mindset that we've been all brainwashed into of thinking, well, the deficit, look at the deficit, we got to cut social programs, we got to privatize, is completely backwards. If you think that's the way to think about this, you've been brainwashed. Unless you are, worth over 20 million or whatever, and you're incredibly wealthy, and you are also incredibly greedy, then I guess you're perfectly happy with that conversation. But for 99% of people, understand how the conversation around deficit and spending has been co-opted by the wealthiest in the country. And that they are the ones at the top, they are the ones that need to pay. All right. I'm not getting any happier. That's for sure. But I do laugh at my own anger. I guess that's a benefit. All right. Michael Lucas says, which of these do you think destabilized the Middle East most? Sykes-Picot at 53 or 53 CIA removal of Mossadegh, or the partition of Palestine, thus creating the state of Israel? Which did it more? Do I look like a Middle East expert to you? It's not my area, dude. I would say, in terms of what is still going on in the focus right now, Palestine, Israel, but in terms of destabilizing the region generally, I'm not the one to answer that question. Celeste says, why do you look hot with a mask on? It makes no sense. I don't know if that's a compliment, because I'm hiding my face. I think that's why, because you can't actually see me. Radzoso says, for your Twitch show, the Rash Nash rehash. Oh, yes. I have a morning Twitch show. We were debating new names, what I should maybe call it, because it was the Morning Rash, and then I changed it to Rational Rise, and I'm going to keep Rational Rise for now. The Rash Nash rehash, just, that sounds like a clip show. Like I'm going to play old clips because it's a rehash. So I'm not down for that. No. But I appreciate the suggestion. Swirly Swirl says, did you hear about the attempted lynching in Bloomington? I did not. There's been a number of those though. So it's, anyways, you say Yellow Jackets in Indiana keep saying that they are pretending to be cops to kidnap protesters since Indiana has so much growing pains to get over. Protesters armed up. Yeah, watch yourself out there. There's been a number of those, not even attempted, actual lynchings. There was that one video. I think did I cover that on Twitch? I forget if I did, or if it was too. Yeah, I don't know. It's anyway. There's a video of an attempted lynching apparently that I saw, but it's I don't know. It's not safe out there. That's for sure. So if you're ever out, make sure you're with people. If you're protesting or you're doing whatever, be with other people, especially in more high-risk areas or states. Ravi Parimi says F. Biden. All right. Shawnee is Cubs fan. Says, I've heard rumors that Tammy Duckworth might be a VP candidate. She's one of my senators. I'm personally indifferent on it. What do you think? I feel like it would be a cheap way. Look, in terms of course, she's qualified qualified in the sense that she's as qualified as anyone else being considered. I'm not saying that she's my choice or should be anybody's choice, but I feel like it would be I feel like they would do that as a way to essentially use her personally, because of her disability, and use her as a way to try and like swell pushback or debate when it comes to protests but I don't know. It's possible. Like, the reality is, I don't think there is any good candidate that Biden's been considering openly. So they've named, Kamala Harris, Warren, I guess Duckworth now, Tammy Baldwin, I think some others. Why am I forgetting her name? Val Demings. Val Demings in Florida, former police chief. Val Demings. None of those are good choices. I mean, in terms of who Biden would potentially be able to stomach, I think Barbara Lee would be a fantastic choice. Barbara Lee, the sole vote against the war in Afghanistan, and a fighter for issues like Medicare for all, other big ticket items that have been progressive issues that Bernie's fought for. And she has largely stayed out of in terms of like the endorsements and that kind of thing. So she's, in that way, I think, more palatable to the center or to these corporate Democrats. But they still won't pick her, because she's actually a good choice. So they're not going to go with anybody that's actually a good choice. But in terms of who Biden's considering, I just don't. None of them are really any good. So it's hard for me to even debate that. Justin Shield says, David, you are trying to make sense out of his argument when all he cares about is protecting insurance companies. It's about Joe Biden not backing Medicare for all. Yeah, of course. But I also think Joe Biden's somebody who has convinced himself that he's also right on just the merits of his argument. So I don't even think it's him protecting insurance companies, which of course he is. But I think he's done it in a way where he's also convinced himself that, people don't want their choices taken away. Can't take away their private insurance choices. When people don't like choice, this idea that choice in healthcare equals freedom. What freedom do you have when the bill comes? What freedom do you have when you got to pay for healthcare? What freedom do you have when you lose your health insurance, when you lose your job? Where's the freedom? Where's the freedom? You know what real freedom is? Having healthcare guaranteed to you at the point of use. Having healthcare guaranteed to you even if you lost your job. Having healthcare guaranteed to you even if you start a business. Even if you hire people. Even if you go back to school. Having everyone on the same plan. That's actual freedom. Ensuring that everybody, the wealthiest and your Congress people, are on the same plan as you are. That's actual freedom, because how bad is it going to get if they got to use the same healthcare that you do? So this idea that choice in healthcare is freedom, the choices you have are all BS. So, yeah, Biden's argument is obviously completely empty and as a way to protect his donors. But also, I think he's just convinced himself that he's right. EW Rap says Joe Biden is a failed human experiment. I don't even know what that really means, but it's funny. Michael Cuomo says it's interesting that Biden doesn't seem to show mental decline or loss of words when standing up for the insurance companies and trashing Medicare for all. Doesn't seem to show mental decline or loss. Yeah. It's possible that video has also been edited in a way where it cuts out maybe some of those brain farts. So, that wasn't a live feed. So it's possible they just made the video look better than it actually is. But he did seem to be a little more aware and sure of himself when he was talking to Adi Barkan there. The Sing on the left says, "Hey David, I think Farron Cousins from Ring of Fire said it best. No regular citizen, whether they are American or Canadian, give a crap about the deficit, especially now." Exactly. He is correct. Yeah, this is the other part of that debate that maybe I didn't mention, but people don't care. Like Canadians really, the media and conservatives and the Liberal Party, they try to make, and when it comes to the U.S. as well, and Democrats and the GOP, they really try as hard as they can to make people care about the deficit. But when it comes to people needing help, they need the help first. They need the health care first. They need the financial assistance first. And then, if everything's good in their life, maybe they'll care about the deficit. But they're not going to care when they're struggling. And most people right now are struggling. So it's the idea that they're trying to push this narrative on us to care about the deficit. No, nobody cares. Nobody cares. And you also see in Canada, I didn't show polling here. I should have showed polling in Canada, but conservatives are dropping considerably. Liberals have also dropped recently a little bit, and the NDP going up in relation to that. So maybe people are waking up a little bit, seeing the kind of influence the NDP had on the Liberal platform during the pandemic. It's possible. Let me get some more here before I go to the last story. Anthony Penza said, "Have you seen the documentary based on Thomas Piketty's Capital in the 21st Century? I'd recommend seeing it if you haven't yet." I have not seen it. I shall make a note of it right now. Thank you for that. Miranda Juvan says, "To make you happy, when you read my last chat about masks being sexy, then talked about someone making a comment on Twitch about using their conspiracy theories against them, that was also me." Wait, what? I don't think I follow you exactly. Are you saying you were two different people commenting? I'll have to read that over again, but cool. Thank you for the super chat. I do appreciate your support. I pretty much memorized your name by now. I think I'm saying it right. Juvan. Da Vinci Beats says, "What do you think about billionaires worth 100 billion plus hoarding more wealth than the nominal GDP?" Let me read this again. "What do you think about billionaires worth 100 billion plus hoarding more wealth than the nominal GDP of 2/3 of the world's nations?" I think it's crazy. I'm not sure what reaction you want out of me. Just the wealth in general that any billionaire has, let alone if you have over 100. I don't think people, and even myself, we really have a hard time wrapping our minds around just how much $1 billion is, even compared to like $1 million. $1 million would be awesome. I would love $1 million. If you compare $1 million to $1 billion, let alone 100 billion, we're talking about this is $1 million and $1 billion is from like the floor to the ceiling. There's a massive difference. So I think I have a video actually that puts it in proper scale in using different terms. So maybe I got to rewatch my own video to memorize what I said there to better explain it. But people, it is insane how much money some individuals have when there are people that can't even eat, that are homeless, that are, on the streets. It's disgusting. And that's what capitalism has led to. And again, it's not what's disgusting isn't necessarily those individuals, though I'm sure they had to engage in some disgusting activity, whether it's underpaying employees or extracting minerals or whatever the hell it is, with, slave labor and that kind of thing. So, but it's not even necessarily those individuals that have the money. It's the system that allows that to happen, because there's always going to be people that push the system to the limit as much as they can to make wealth for themselves. That's always going to exist. So you have to limit the ability for the system to do that, or not have this system. And, that takes some time to also wrap your head around and realize that you don't have to have capitalism the way it is, or capitalism at all. There is a different way of doing this, but that also takes time and, you know, movements and power. I mean, it takes power, really. If you don't have the power, you're not changing the system. So you kind of need to get power first. Okay, pausing there. Actually, I'm feeling a little better right now. Feeling a little better. Not sure what it is. Maybe it's just, I feel like sometimes my mind also plays tricks on me. Like, I'll feel like a tiny bit sick, and then I'm like, oh, I definitely got the virus. Definitely got it. I'm going to be in the hospital soon. And I just like convince myself I'm sick when I'm not. Oh, Jesus. This article I want to reference, half of the page is taken up by an advertisement. It makes my life harder. Okay, I'm going to have to try and work through it. Just a minute. There's a video I want to use with this next segment, but I want to find a better video, actually. Doing research on the stream. This is what the Rational National Live is all about. All right, I might just have to... Okay, this might work. No, it's not going to work. All right. Okay, here we go. I found one. All right, good. So, Joe Kennedy III is attempting to primary progressive Senator Ed Markey in Massachusetts. Now, Joe Kennedy has appointed a cop as a top advisor. And it's not just any cop. So let me read just a short paragraph here from The Nation that did a piece on this. So Tompkins, referring to, let me get the full name here, Steve Tompkins. Tompkins did get elected and then fined by the State Ethics Commission for using coercive tactics. In 2013, he flashed his badge, thus exerting his authority as a police officer to dissuade local businesses from publicly supporting his opponent. The fact that Tompkins is not just a cop, but one with a documented record of exploiting his power, makes him a strange choice for a senior advisor for racial and economic inequality and criminal justice reform. The Kennedy campaign announced his appointment on June 3rd, just as the movement for Black Lives swept the country in the wake of George Floyd's murder. Now, I've covered this upcoming primary race in the past. They had a debate, I think, about a month ago. I'll link to that above when I cut this segment out from the live stream. But check that out so you can see the back and forth that Kennedy and Ed Markey had. But there is a clear choice between these two candidates. And just recently, in 2018, I believe, Kennedy voted for the Protect and Serve Act, also known as the Blue Lives Matter Act. So the ACLU and 27 other civil rights organizations fought this act. So let me, if I can find the exact quote here. Here we go. The Blue Lives Matter bill. So as the ACLU, along with 27 other civil rights and government accountability organizations, noted in their condemnation, the legislation perpetuates a false narrative that police are under increasing attack by their communities, but, quote, does not call for support services, better training, improved safety measures, increased supervision, or any of the other multiple measures available to law enforcement that are widely accepted as promoting officer safety and well-being. Instead, it increases already harsh penalties for causing harm to cops, including up to 10 years in prison for, quote, serious bodily injury and potential life imprisonment for killing or threatening to kill a police officer, leaving interpretation of those subjective terms up to the courts. And when we're talking about something like threatening, how many times now have we seen how inaccurate police reports are? How often police lie to protect themselves? So say they arrest someone they don't like, they can say, oh, this guy threatened me. Now that guy's facing up to 10 years in prison. And this is what Joe Kennedy backed. The idea that he's trying to primary Ed Markey, one of the few progressives. Now, Markey doesn't have a perfect record. But more recently, over the past several years, he has a fantastic record. And he's with AOC on the Green New Deal. It was him and AOC that led that charge. Markey fights for Medicare for all, fights for other big progressive policies. Let me show you a recent video here of what Markey has been fighting for during the pandemic.
I am co-sponsoring with Senators Bernie Sanders and Kamala Harris the monthly Economic Support Act to send a monthly $2,000 check to individuals.
For a couple, it would be $4,000. If they had a child, $6,000, so that they would have a way on a recurring basis, month after month, to get that check to make it through this incredible
you mean in another round of
crisis that we're
stimulus?
in.
So Ed Markey, one of the senators fighting for $2,000 a month during this pandemic. Think about how much that would have helped you. Imagine Democrats actually fought for that. Imagine Nancy Pelosi actually fought for that. And you have someone trying to primary this guy? Are you kidding me? Joe Kennedy is not good, to put it lightly. He's not good. And in fact, up until just very recently, Joe Kennedy was against the legalization, even the decriminalization of marijuana. So this is a race, unfortunately, because of the Kennedy name, he actually has a shot at potentially taking out Ed Markey, at potentially fooling enough voters into thinking, oh, another Kennedy, fantastic, because of people's obsession with royalty, essentially. You have to actually look at who these people are, what they have fought for. Have they stood up for you? Are they fighting for you now? Have they done it in the past? Or are they just doing it now rhetorically to pretend they actually care? Because that's what Kennedy's doing. Ed Markey is actually, and has actually been fighting for people. So if you are in this state, pay attention to this race. Make sure you vote to keep your senator. Because if he's replaced by Kennedy, that's one less vote for something like $2,000 a month. One less vote for Medicare for all. One less vote for real help for the poor and the middle class. All right. Super chats it is. This is actually my favorite part of the stream. When I'm done the hard work and I get to talk to all of you. All right. I wish there was a way to put the chat on screen, and no, there's not. I didn't set it up in time, but that's fine. And if I did that, I'm not sure what the chat looks like right now, but I'm sure there are some comments that I likely would not, may be offensive and I don't want on the screen. So maybe it's good I don't. But where was I here? Here we go. Mateus N says, do you play any Call of Duty, bro? I do. I don't play it consistently, but yeah, the newest one. And I tried Warzone a little bit. I'm not super into, man, I am such a casual gamer now, forgetting all the terms, but I'm not super into like that style, like Fortnite kind of style shooters. I'm old school. I just like your standard FPS. So I tend to play just the for lack of a better term, the normal multiplayer on Call of Duty. But I don't play every night. I actually haven't played in a while because I just beat Last of Us Part 2. Fantastic game. And I've been playing through Astrobot Rescue Mission, the PlayStation VR game. Really friggin' cool. I love platformers, and this one is in 3D. It's insane. So, and I'm also shitty at shooters, so if I play Call of Duty, it's more to pass the time or like listen to a podcast or something, kind of like get my mind off stuff. But yeah, if you're ever on, I mean, you could look me up. I'm not going to add you, but not you specifically, but in general. The Rash Nash on PlayStation Network. Just look that up. You see me. Miranda Jouvin says, you are saying my name correctly. Thank you. Oh, good. On Twitch, it's Jouvin Miranda. I figured. And I'm the one who commented on that platform about using their conspiracy theories to get... Oh, you're that one that did that. Okay, now I get your comment. Awesome. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yes. So credit to Miranda Jouvin for being the one who pointed out that as a way to sell conservatives on wearing the mask, just talk about how there's cameras. Don't want the government following you, so got to put a mask on so the government doesn't watch you. So that's Miranda Jouvin's idea. Brilliant. Tim Mammal says, appreciate your smart, clear perspectives. All independent media is refreshing compared to typical cesspool mainstream. You stand out among the independents, clearer and more original than most. Yay. Oh, thanks, Tim. I like that I'm original. Seth O says, eviction apocalypse. 1/3 of American workers on unemployment. Banks making CLO bubble, COVID, and corporate welfare on a scale from 0 to F'd. Where would you place us in your professional opinion? Oh, man. Well, it's F'd right. When you have the amount of people that have the virus as that do right now in the U.S., and it's increasing. In fact, this is what I like to do sometimes on these streams, is just do stuff I never planned. But if I can find, we can look at the most recent numbers of the virus compared to everybody else. Here we go. I've gone to the site so many times that I just type in coronavirus in my browser and it pops up immediately. So let me show you right now what it looks like. That's America. Number 1, United States of America, the top of the list of the most cases per million people. Awesome. Daily new confirmed COVID-19 cases per million people shown as the rolling 7-day average. So here's the U.S. Here is, Oh, it's just showing Australia, but there's more on here. If I take out Australia, who will it show? Canada. So here, we're in the same. We are right next to each other. Neighbors, U.S., Canada. Look at the difference. That's the difference. And again, this is relative. It's per capita. So it's not like, oh, the U.S. has 10 times more people. Yeah, but this is per capita. So it's all relative here. Look at the friggin' difference. Let's take out Canada. You see the UK. UK also run by a conservative. I'm not sure what the hell this weird dip is. Seems like misreporting here. But not that I would ever defend Boris, but this is the difference between a government that at least somewhat takes science seriously, even if they didn't at the beginning. I know the UK had issues at the beginning, but eventually, I think once the prime minister got it, all of a sudden it became serious. So that's the difference, even with two conservative governments. And now the only country that comes close as a developed nation to the U.S. numbers is Brazil. Check out Brazil. So Brazil also not doing good. You got Brazil here, the U.S. here. And guess what? Both countries run by far right figures. In fact, Jair Bolsonaro, president of Brazil, is often referred to as a neo-fascist. So this is the result of having two incredibly far-right leaders. They don't care about you. And by the way, Bolsonaro has the virus as well now. Incredible. But you see here, it's not doing good. So not a good situation. So on a scale from 0 to effed, I would say it's effed. And that's not even including what you mentioned in terms of, the economic situation. So yeah, this is also why Trump is screwed. The people that have already died are not going to be brought back to life. They're gone. So that's going to stay with those people, especially if they were former Trump supporters and are able to recognize the lack of help that they received during this process. And that is largely a function of course, the leadership in the country not fighting for them, and Trump being focused on, rhetorical devices when it comes to race baiting and that kind of thing. So when you have someone who doesn't actually, who's so focused on talking about statues and in China, this is the result. All right. Ravi Parimi says, I go walking in a park in the evenings, and am one of the few wearing a mask. Hope to see you next Friday. Oh, you mean, I thought you meant in public. Like, are you in Toronto? Yeah, I'll be fine. In fact, I feel fine right now. I think I don't know. I think it's my brain, hypochondriac. But I'll be here. But yeah, people, I notice as well. It's not just an American thing. I notice it in Toronto. Now, the difference here, you could say, is we have less cases. It's getting better, so people are becoming a little more comfortable with not wearing the mask. But until it's gone, especially, look, I get it if you're like in the park and no one's around you and you want to breathe fresh air. I get it. I'm not opposed to you taking off the mask and enjoying the fresh air for a minute. But like, especially if you're indoors or if you're around a crowd or around people, not even just a crowd, if you're walking by people, put the mask back on. If you're indoors, wear a friggin' mask. It's I've been to Subway, or went to Subway last week, but I go there like once a week generally. I shouldn't. It's not the greatest thing for you. But I feel like every time I go in there, I get the worst luck. Somebody walks in behind me and they're not wearing a mask, or it's like a family. None of them wearing masks. And it's so frustrating. It's like, I'm trying to wear this for you, you idiots, and you're not doing it for me. It's just, it's always this give and or this take and no give. Like it's sad how selfish people are. Rob Bidgood says, Fox reporting Trump going to pardon Roger Stone soon. Of course. I haven't been all that engaged in all that mess. So I'm not really sure what else to add to that, but they're longtime buddies. You know, Trump may figure he's it's not going to hurt him in the election because there's so much else going on. So he's going to keep pardoning his friends. Junie McGrath says, not sure if you discussed this, but did you hear about Ayn Rand Institute taking in government aid? Yeah, I referenced that in one of my stories today. Libertarians don't lead by example. Of course not. Also, I mentioned Grover Norquist, again, another one of those guys fighting against taxes and against financial help for individuals. And he himself, his company, also took PPP money. So, of course, they're hypocrites. Owen Gobo says peoplesparty.org tomorrow. They're going to they're going to Congress's people's homes to protest. Check it out. Nick Bana? Sure, check it out. I have nothing against, trying to build stuff outside. I do think you kind of got to do that. Not saying that Nick's not, but like in general, if you're trying to build something, the movement's got to happen between elections. You can't just do it, 6 months before an election. There's got to be an ongoing pressure and movement. The Poor People's Campaign, also worth looking into and check out what they're fighting for. Corey Foster, Tropico 5 for political gamers. I got super into. Is that the newest one? I got into one of the Tropico games. Yeah, I actually got really into one of those games. I dig it. Seth O says, USA, 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 LOL #1, something yes. Yes, US is #1 in something in the most COVID cases. Fantastic. I feel bad, guys. I feel bad for all you that are, especially if you're in a state like Arizona or Florida. I would be afraid to leave my home ever. I'd be afraid to have people, deliver groceries even. Like, we still don't really know the science on, or we aren't all that sure of the science around, like, when it comes to surfaces, like, should you wipe all your groceries down after you buy them? Like, that kind of thing. There's been times where I've done that, and I don't do that anymore. It's just a lot of work to wipe every single grocery down that you buy. But, I mean, the easiest way to transmit it, or the easiest way to get it, is person to person. So if both of you are wearing a mask and you're keeping your distance, you're likely going to be okay. But if you're not and you're indoors, it's the worst. It's the worst scenario. Jorge Fontan says, I'm in New York City. Most people here are wearing masks and taking it seriously. Now, New York City went from the most messed up place to the safest in the country. I wonder why. Yeah. Good point. Yeah, check out the states that have recovered from the insanity, like New York, and see what they're doing now. They're taking it seriously. So it should be a lesson to the rest of you. All right, I think we are, unless there's more, there's about a minute delay on these streams. So if you want to super chat, get it in immediately. But let me grab some randoms here. If you highlight my name, it's easier. So T. Hayes, who's a mod, thank you for being here. Says the workers in Subway in America in my state didn't have to have a mask. WTF. I'm trying. I don't think the Subway workers here do either. But what they have the plexiglass in front of the counter. So in terms of transmission, I guess that's what helps. But I do wonder about the food. I hear there's not really much of a risk when it comes to like takeout. Like there was like 3 months there at the very beginning. I had no takeout at all. It was bad. Especially I love food, so the fact that I had to make all of my food every day, it was a problem. But I got through it. But now, yeah, I'm not sure what it is. It seems like there's not too much of a worry around food. But as long as there's, I guess as long as there's a plexiglass between the counter and the person serving you the food, I guess it's fine. I don't know, but they should wear a mask. I've gone to a couple of drive-thrus, and they all wear masks. Not Subway, but Tim Hortons here in Canada. McDonald's, I think I went to once, and they are careful. Typical Canadian says, who do you want Biden to pick for VP that's realistic? I think you're late to the convo. I said earlier, Barbara Lee. Barbara Lee is realistic. I wanted him to pick Barbara Lee. Out of the ones that he's listed, though, like Kamala Harris, Val Demings, Elizabeth Warren, Tammy Baldwin, I think is on the list, some others. There's no good options. I mean, look, I would have said Elizabeth Warren, but how can anybody trust Elizabeth Warren now? I think the only way I would maybe still be partial to her on just out of that list is because she's not a cop. So just by a process of elimination, Kamala Harris, prosecutor, get her out of there. Val Demings, former police chief, get her out of there. Tammy Baldwin, maybe, I guess, but I don't really know enough. And Elizabeth Warren, I think there's a potential, like if she were to run as president, if she was the VP and then ran in 2024, I could see her moving to the left, because I could see her moving with the times as just a response to where the public sits on issues. So maybe I would go with her just through a process of elimination based on Biden's existing list. But obviously I don't like the list. So I would go with Barbara Lee in terms of people who should be realistic and should be on the list. Did I hear a new super chat? I think I did. Owen Gobo says, are you going to read Trump's niece's book and discuss it here? I'm not super into that drama. I mean, I almost did a video on it because I do like talking about the psychology and why people are horrible. So there are some good pieces in there. Yeah, I may still do a video on that, because his niece talks about how, and I heard this from a third party, so I didn't actually read the excerpt, but his niece talks about how Trump's father was just a horrible person and was really terrible to Trump's older brother, who became an alcoholic, and that's essentially what led him to being an alcoholic. And he died like in his mid-40s. And yeah, based on how horrible Trump's father was, you could understand how he could create a monster like Donald Trump. So I find that discussion interesting. It's not a way to excuse Trump at all, of course, but it's a way to help explain what happens when you raise people certain ways. So when you're somebody who's incredibly privileged, but on top of that, also you have a father who's just the absolute worst, then it shapes you in a certain way, and you act a certain way, and you act out in certain ways. So I don't think I'm going to read the entire book, but I will take bits and pieces, and I do find that conversation interesting, so maybe I will do a video on that at some point. A few more here. Thank you for all the support today, by the way. It's really, it's awesome. Especially because I didn't feel good earlier, and you stuck with me, even though some of the videos I'm sure I was maybe a little off a little bit, or depressed, or it came off like I wasn't well. But I'm better now, so all your support has definitely helped. Dave K, or K, says, can you give more exposure to Howie Hawkins and the Green Party on your channel? I think a Bernie alternative is important. I'll think about it. I just think this is a unique time. If it was your typical election, if it was like, a Mitt Romney, and if it was Mitt Romney and Joe Biden, you bet your ass. It'd be different. But this is nothing against the Green Party. I think it's important that they do what they're doing. And if you're a Green Party voter and supporter, and you always have been, look, I ran as a Green Party candidate in Canada. So I understand that mindset. I understand your fight. But in order to build, like, we all know including Dave, he's not going to win. Like, we all know that. Green Party's not going to become the president. Howie Hawkins is not going to win. So the fight is really about that hitting that 5% number for, I guess, federal funding, and being which would help lead the party to being a more, or potentially being part of the discussion a little more. I get that. I understand that. But that fight, that movement building has to happen between elections. It can't, at least the way it comes off, maybe they try and nobody latches on, but it feels like, 6 months to the election, all of a sudden we're hearing about the Green Party. Why aren't they doing more? And not even just nationally, locally. They have to build locally, get somebody in Congress. Like, the idea that you're just going immediately to the top of the ticket and trying to become president, it's not a good strategy. You have to build some energy, some excitement, some interest in the party first. And you do that through, at the very least, like, yes, of course, local and state has to be a big focus. But if you want to be taken seriously at the national level, you got to at least get somebody in Congress. So without that, it's just a tougher sell. But look, I get his fight. I get the desire. I just think we're in a situation where it's a unique threat. It's a unique threat. And you're seeing it right now. You're seeing it right now. I mean, take out Brazil, but you're seeing it. You're seeing it right now. So there you go. Like, this is, Brazil's not doing good either. But like, this is what happens when you have horrible right-wing leaders. I didn't even realize. So Israel, of course, also horrible right-wing leader. But yeah, Brazil, U.S., like, it's a unique time. Christine Danielson says, "Hi, David. You are so well informing, and we appreciate you so much and your dedication." Thank you so much. Thank you, Christine. Much appreciated. Thank you for the super chat. All right. One last refresh here. Going to go in a minute. I think that's it. Awesome. You all are fantastic. This has been great. I'm way behind on the stream here. I may actually be 2 minutes behind. So hopefully nobody's late to the super chats here. But thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for hanging out with me and making me feel better. I do feel better than I was at the beginning. So it's been good. All right. See you. Oh, yeah. I got a Twitch morning show, guys. Twitch.tv/TheRationalNational. It's from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Monday to Thursday, Eastern time. So come check it out. The link is below the video to the Twitch page. It's more of like it's not as formal as this one sometimes is. It's more kind of laid back. I'm usually in a t-shirt, and I engage the chat, and we have a good time. So come check out that channel or check out that show, and I will see you next Friday. See you later.